Welcome to MLK Manifesting the Dream, an annual program of We the World to carry forward the work and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. To learn more and get involved, please go to we.net/MLK. My name is Rick Ulfik, and I am the founder of We the World and the We campaign at we.net. We the World is an international coalition building organization that unites and promotes the efforts of people, organizations, and movements working for the common good. Now, as we honor Martin Luther King Jr., we will consider how the work of MLK continues to be crucial today. To talk about this, I am excited that we are joined by two people who are part of St. Mark's Church in the Bowery in Manhattan, New York City, Reverend Anne Marie Witchger and Jeannine Otis. Reverend Anne Marie Witchger is the rector, and Jeannine Otis is the director of music at St. Mark's Church. And I'm happy to say that besides working with We the World, I have played piano and keyboards under the direction of Jeannine Otis at many of the special services at St. Mark's Church for many years. So I'm thrilled to now let our We the World audience know about all the amazing St. Mark's Church activities that serve the community in Manhattan. And of course, serving vulnerable populations is part of carrying forward the work and legacy of MLK, including by addressing racism and expanding civil rights, which is really crucial now as we see mass deportations starting, targeting Black and Brown immigrant populations, devastating families and terrorizing communities. So Reverend Anne Marie Witchger and Jeannine Otis, please tell us about the St. Mark's Church activities and your work in this regard. And welcome to MLK Manifesting the Dream. Thank you. So let's start with Reverend Anne Marie Witchger.
Great. Well, Rick, thank you so much for this kind invitation and the amazing work that you're doing. It's really inspiring and wonderful to be with you today. And I'll just say I've been at St. Mark's about a year and a half. Jeannine is really the heart and soul and anchor of St. Mark's, so I'm delighted to be opening for her. But the main voice here will be Jeannine. So grateful for her leadership at St. Mark's and for all the wonderful connections that she has across the city. So a couple things about St. Mark's. We're St. Mark's Church in the Bowery. We have a 400-year history in New York City and 225 years as an Episcopal church in the Diocese of New York. We just celebrated our 225th anniversary last year. And so that's given us the opportunity to think about history and time and change and legacy, and what it means now in this chapter at St. Mark's to be part of building the next chapter, the next story of not only what's happening in our church, but also what's happening in the city and the world around us. We have always been a community committed to the arts and social justice. We've always seen our presence in the neighborhood as to be about welcoming the wider community and creating peace and justice together. So St. Mark's, the arts have always been, um, for a long time, have been core to who St. Mark's is as a community and sort of what our witness is to the wider world. So much creativity has been born at St. Mark's in poetry, in music, and visual arts as well. Right now, we talk about three things that we do. We say first, we welcome everyone. So we see that as core to our mission in a world that increasingly wants to say some people belong and other people don't. We stand firm in our commitment to welcoming all people and to being a community that is diverse and inclusive, not only because we know that that's right, but also as a reflection of God's creation and the way that God created people to be, which is to be in loving relationship with one another. We think about the beloved community that Martin Luther King talked about. We see welcome as a core part of that call for us. And then we talk about our worship. We worship in the round so that we can see each other's faces, so that we can um, feel connected as we worship together. We see our worship, and this music is such a major part of this, as a sign of God's love within our community and the love that we have to share with the wider world. It's a place to find nourishment for the time ahead. Again, at this time that feels um, desolate and anxious and hopeless in so many ways. Um, our worship together and our community together is a way um, to feed ourselves and strengthen ourselves for the work that needs to be done. And then we're a community that witnesses. We witness to the world we know is possible. We witness to that beloved community that that Martin Luther King talked about so beautifully. We know that we hope. We are people of relentless hope, and yet we know that the world right now is not at all as it should be. And yet we continue to hold our leaders accountable, to hold each other accountable to a better way, to hope for that better way and paint a picture of what that better way could be. But we do that sort of in the tension of um, knowing what should be, knowing what could be, and knowing that we're not there yet. I think in this particular moment, I've thought a lot about Martin Luther King's a quotation by Martin Luther King that sometimes that it's in the darkness that you can see the stars. I've been holding that quotation close in recent weeks, especially trying to make sense of the chaos and cruelty really that we're seeing in the world, and realizing that in the midst of all of that, what we have to hold on to is each other. It's our faith. It's the stories of the leaders of our ancestors who came before us and fought relentlessly for justice and for peace and for a more compassionate society. Um, and so we hold on to that the more chaotic things become, the brighter those lights shine. And so to be able to see that clearly and hold on to that is really the most important work we have to do at this time. I'll say one specific thing that we've been doing, which is that about a year ago, we started what we call the Welcome Center. Again, rooted in that sense that we are called to welcome everyone. And this was in response to the huge influx in migrants and asylum seekers coming into New York from buses, largely from Texas and other places. And a call went out to faith communities downtown in our neighborhood saying it's freezing cold. People are sitting outside in the streets. They're on long lines waiting for food and shelter assignments. Houses of worship need to open up their space and just provide space. You don't need to do anything else. Just open your doors, let people come in, get warm, charge their cell phones. Um, And so we started doing this once a week at St. Mark's, and on the first week had almost 150 people come. And over in the weeks that followed, we continued to sort of grow and deepen that community. And now a year later, are continuing to serve not all the same folks who walked through our doors in that first year, but some of them. Some have stayed connected for the last year, and some are newer. But we're committed to that welcome and committed to sticking with our neighbors through this time, especially as they come under unimaginable threat and as the fears continue to rise. We are committed to being a place of safety and care and sanctuary for all people as a sign of God's light in the world and as a commitment to love each other as neighbors.
Well, that sounds great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now let's hear from Jeannine Otis.
Well, hello, Rick. And we have had such a long collaborative history. And I love what you do with We the World. And then Reverend Anne Marie speaks. And yes, it's only been a year and a half, but somehow I feel like she's been there with me most of the time because her spirit and her energy is just so charismatic, and the church is growing, and I think manifesting a lot of what was there, but her energy is giving us that, you know, that extra push that's really, I can see it, in an image like a tree. The tree is just really growing and touching the community a lot. And I am just so thrilled that she appreciates and nourishes and supports what I'm doing in the ministry, which I always see as supporting the priest, the rector, the mission of St. Mark's, the word, our music, our special celebrations, as you know, our special service events, all are geared towards using music as a tool to build community, to build beloved community, to sustain beloved community, to nurture all the people in our community, and to encourage them to expand their voice, their sense, their expressive sense. So I feel over the years that we have been successful in that way. There's always more work to do, and there's always more people that I feel that the light of God lives in all of us, every single one of us. And so we encourage that light to shine more brightly in each other. And I think that's a lifelong journey, lifelong venture. And just some of and we've supported the Welcome Center gladly with music, with some of the members of our choir from time to time come and serve food and, do things. We had a really wonderful celebration of Eid at St. Mark's that was headed by Reverend Anne Marie and some of the other people that run the Welcome Center. And so the support with music is always the sort of comfort, hopefully catalyst, hopefully the element that really adds that extra little feeling of welcome and adventure to what we're doing. We also, as you know, Rick, have the Good Friday Blues, which I did with Kathy Roscom, Bishop Kathy Roscom, many years ago. And the idea was to use the remembrance of Good Friday to really reach out to the community, to review sort of our lives together, to look at what is it to exist in the light of Christ. And some of us lose our way, I know we have. And so the church is always the beacon to help you to get back on track. And I think the Good Friday Blues, just in the music and the sermons, it reviews that process. And it's all preparation for venerating, for humbling ourselves, for gratefulness to the cross, which is a symbol of all the existential challenges that we face, and that we are stronger in our experience at St. Mark's, and we have the strength to face all that. And so we have Three Kings, which we just did. I was so proud again to collaborate with Anne Marie and Thomas Rosa, who wrote a piece. And it's fun to celebrate the Magi's coming, to celebrate the Christ child. But again, we gather to understand that the light of Christ, the light of the universe, dwells in us. And I want to mention Holly Rollinson with the Welcome Center, because she is just like a soldier. She's always there doing things. And St. Mark's has also a number of people. I could be here all day listing the support and the goodwill that's there. But I think if I had to summarize or really focus on what it is I feel our music does, it is to support, to be a catalyst for people to find their voice, and to really be part of that process. That St. Mark's is to be a beacon of light for the community. And I have to thank Rick always for his participation in there. And I'm really honored all of these years to have been able to do that. I'm still working, and we're a work in progress. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And I don't know if you want to mention Larry Marshall, and
Oh yeah, I want to mention Larry Marshall.
and he just did an event that we have been promoting as part of MLK Manifesting the Dream. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, and just to give you a little history, Larry Marshall's my other half, and we met working on a theater project. I was on the creative team, and I was this assistant music director, he was music director of a piece sponsored by Hill House about the life of Martin Luther King, because we both had personal experiences with Dr. King. My mother did personal work with Dr. King. He came to congratulate her on her work, and spoke with me, and we marched, in one of those marches when I was a kid, the march in Detroit, and through my love of Dr. King and my connection to Hale House at the time, I met Larry Marshall, who has also done a lot of commercial theater, and a lot of, he's done work in films. And I've done work, I leave this out all the time, commercial work as a recording artist, and in the theater too, which is what else we had in common. So fast forward, Larry for 20 years has been developing this piece about Bert Williams. And Bert Williams, a lot of people, it's very controversial because he wore blackface, but Bert Williams at the time was really a pioneer and really thinking about uplifting his race in the ways that he could through his material, through making people laugh, through giving people an insight into the sort of African American experience through his songs. And Larry has for decades been doing research on Bert Williams and has developed a one-man show, which is very entertaining. He's presented it first at St. Mark's almost 20 years ago at a King dinner, and then recently he's presented it a few times now. And now he's starting to go out and present it in Staten Island, where we live, in Manhattan, with the Morningside Players later on, and hopefully he'll make a film of it and a recording.
Sounds great.
So it's important for us to review our history.
Yeah. It's great to hear the connections and the crossover with MLK that you were talking about.
Yeah.
That's amazing, right? So given what you both said and the challenges our society is facing, do you have a call to action maybe that you can share with the people who are watching this? What would your call to action be? And maybe we'll start with you, Reverend Anne Marie.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I think I think the most important thing we can do right now is to stay grounded in who we are and not lose sight of who we are and who we're called to be in this time where, because of all the chaos, it's easy to kind of jump at every new onslaught. And my fear about that is that as we do that, we end up losing hold of ourselves and of each other, and that's actually part of the strategy, is to get everybody so worked up and afraid, and that we just that we don't actually organize. We just end up trying to fend off this onslaught in whatever way we can. So I think in this time we have to pay attention to ourselves, and we have to pay attention to each other. And so I have no doubt that people will be able to organize and stand up and advocate and protest and sue and all the other things that we need to do. I think all of those pathways will emerge, and are emerging already. But the most important thing I think we can do is to pay attention to ourselves, to our own bodies, and what's going on with us, to take care of ourselves, to rest, and then to check in with each other, and to make sure that that the people we love aren't fading away or disengaging or slipping through the cracks, because it's a very scary time that we're living through. It has, we have never ever lived in perfect times, but it's a particularly scary time right now. So to pay attention to ourselves and to pay attention to our people.
Yes. That makes perfect sense. Thank you. And Jeannine?
Oh, I agree with Reverend Anne Marie. My mom used to always say, prayer is action. So we're praying with our lives, how we're living, how we're treating one another, how we're treating ourselves. And from there, as Reverend Anne Marie said, I mean, there's plenty, I'm sure, that we'll be called on to do, but it starts with us and how we treat one another and the love that we have for what we're doing and our connection to God in the universe, which will guide us and will stay the course, whatever we need to do.
Thank you. Well, this has been really inspiring for me. Thank you so much, Reverend Anne-Marie Witchger and Jeannine Otis, for being part of MLK Manifesting the Dream. Thank you. And as we do all the time in our sessions with We the World, I'm holding up what is kind of a W here, right? And it's about we. It's all about we, all of us together, which is really another way of talking about MLK's beloved community, right? We. So let's go from being a me society to a we society, right? And that's why we launched we.net. So thank you all for watching so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.